Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to Factorio, not 15. We have lots to do today, not the least of which is dealing with this situation in the north. We have lost a laser turret. It's not only the first loss we have had, but it's the first damage that we've taken, at least that it's reported as damage. So I happen to have some laser turrets on me. Hee, the factory looks a little different, and we'll get into that very soon. But the first thing we're going to do is head north. Doesn't look a whole lot different, but it does look a little bit different, and I will cover that shortly. Let's go shore up our defenses up there, build an entire new wing of stuff, perhaps, and be absolutely awesome sauce. The turrets up there do look like they're relatively sparse, so it doesn't surprise me that they would be, yeah, it's this one. It doesn't surprise me that they would take damage once we get like some of the bigger biters on them. They're pretty armored, and we don't have our Mark II turrets or uranium ammo or anything like that up there in that neighborhood, or even flamethrower turrets. All we have going for us is our little itsy bitsy lasers. And it is such a freaking long walk, oh my god. Where the hell is my car? Or a tank? Or servos! We do have Mark I power armor. We have access to Mark II soon. I did end up getting ourselves a portable fusion reactor. I'm still running 5 personal roboports, but we reconfigured a little bit. I don't have any shields on it anymore. I'm holding on to all my shields right now because I wanted the 5 roboports. Okay, so there has been some damage, but it just hasn't reported the damage. All it reported was the actual destruction. And easiest way to sort of settle this situation is just build a whole bunch more turrets here. Since I have a whole bunch of turrets in my inventory, we're just going to lay down everything that we got, and that should take care of the situation for the most part. Looks like it was destroyed by spitters because the walls weren't destroyed, so that's fine. You know, just some big damage from spitters. That's alright. Alright, I'll be back once we get back to base because this is too long. Okay, so first thing I want to cover here after that little laser thing is a status report. When it comes to our mines, this mine down here, our iron mine, Outpost 1 out iron, is empty. So all the drills are gone, the infrastructure is still there, I'll lift it up eventually. Just like the infrastructure is still here and here and here from these other things. The outpost here as well, Iron 2, or Outpost 2 out iron, is ripped up as well. Like it's gone, it's done. So to expand my iron, I have expanded up to this one. There's 2.6 million left. We've actually consumed a good chunk of it already at that rate. Wow. Okay. Ooh, man, we devour iron. This copper is still going strong though, and this one hasn't been tapped yet. So yeah. The coal, I'm not really using this coal anymore. I have the belt coming down still, but it just ends here and doesn't go anywhere else. Train situation is just fine. We're still using the same setup at our stations here for copper and iron. I don't even have a coal train going anywhere because this coal patch is still, for the most part, good. Has about 1.4 million coal left in it. That is our current status report. So, we have set up a train station here, I noticed, or I had noted rather. Let's take a quick peek at this. Again, this is experimental designs. I'm experimenting with warehouses for this particular design. 6 stack inserters that face out onto the trains, unload, you know, be awesome, all that good stuff, and load up on trains. I don't know why these ones aren't pointing inward, but whatever. Stack inserters, that's how we're using this, and we're just fueling it all up with blue belts for the most part. So we're just taking half of them and splitting them and belt balancing and putting them in one half and half of them onto the other side, because I don't want to do an 8-way balance because that just takes too much room, and then sending it all into the warehouses and then shipping it back to base. Excuse me. Okay. So now you know how we're doing for resources. I love how I still have some, you know, gun turrets here. Not just lasers, but guns. That's just great. We'll lift them all out eventually. Let's take a peek at the actual base proper and see how things have changed. So this green circuit production is basically the exact same as it used to be. Let's start from the right though. We still have iron gear wheels being produced here. We have changed the pattern a little bit. This is 10 iron gear wheel factories and 10 on this side, so 20 in total. 10 of them, if you take a look, iron gear wheel factories, they use 2 iron plates every half second, so they use 4 iron plates per second, which means 10 of them uses 40 items per second. Interestingly enough, a blue belt uses 40 items per second, which means 20 of them feed a blue belt if you split it, one inserting onto one side, one inserting onto the other. And we have indeed a blue belt coming out here, and we have logisticked them up in this passive provider storehouse. It is just like a passive provider chest, except it is a storehouse, which comes from the warehousing mod. You've seen the warehouses plenty. They're 6x6. These storehouses are 3x3. Otherwise, they're the exact same. They're 3x3. Their storage ratio is a little bit lower as a result, but they're tinier and they can fit into neat places. And I didn't need an entire warehouse. I did want to have a little bit more than, you know, a single chest of these things, though. So I did stick a passive provider storehouse here. And that's good to go. We're not direct sending these anywhere. They're not busing anywhere. They are just here for logistics purposes, and I haven't gotten started on that yet. Okay, so green circuits. It's exactly like it was last time you saw it, except it has been properly balanced. So there is a blue belt of copper coming in on either side. So 2 blue belts of copper that come in, and also 2 red belts of iron that come in. And we have 2 red belts of circuits that come out, and it does actually work out to be close to that. Each one of these makes 2 circuits per second. And I believe there's, what, 12 on each side? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So 12 of them makes 24 per second. And 12 of them makes 24 per second. And a red belt is 26.67 items per second. So 2 red belts are... they don't quite make enough to saturate 2 red belts, but they get pretty darn close to it. So we basically have 2 red belts of circuits coming out with sufficient materials to feed them. When it comes to red circuits, a lot of changes have been made. I used to have all of the materials come in once, and then I just split it to go to each section. I stopped that. I'm now pulling the materials off separately 4 times. So 1 for here, 2, 3, and 4 coming in. Also the copper, I'm sending 2 red belts of copper up, and then we're continuing with the same thing where we split it and go underground, because these don't actually use that much copper. They use very little each. And we send it back and into the second row, and I changed this here a little bit so that the second row would be tileable, so that I can run another one back behind it again. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And the interesting thing about these are, because advanced circuits make 1 every 6 seconds, when you have 6 of them in a bank, that means 1 bank creates 1 per second, which means this is 12 per second red circuits, which is definitely within what we can handle on a single old yellow belt, because a single yellow belt will handle 13.33 items per second. However, even if it is enough for me to handle on a single yellow belt, I do send each half of these down in a yellow belt, and then I merge them together here onto a red belt. Just in case at some point I want to change the way that it's working and I want to produce more back there or something like that, we do that. I have this red belt splitting up here and coming up into these red circuit storehouse over here. And you'll notice I have the green circuits being stored here, but you'll notice I'm actually pulling the green circuits completely off the line to store them there. That's because these green circuits are being used for logistics, and they're being used for red circuit production. That's their purpose. This is my base green circuits, like the stuff I'm using for the majority of things here. So they're going to go for red circuit production, and whatever doesn't go to red circuit production is going to get stored up. Red circuits I am also storing, and then I am sending them over to processing unit production, which I'll talk about soon as well. Before I get into processing units, I want to take a quick look at our warehouses and the belts coming out of them. So now we have 2 blue and 4 red iron belts coming out, so 6 iron belts, and we send a dedicated blue belt straight up into gears, a dedicated blue belt straight into the other gears. So that's 2 dedicated blue belts with 1 output. We send 4 dedicated iron belts out. 2 of them dedicated go into circuits, and the other 2 dedicated ones are going to come here to processing units, because I'm creating green circuits there as well. So that is literally all of the belts coming out of this warehouse. And that's how I want it. I only want like these things belted. Everything else I want it to be handling logistics style. And in the future I'm going to switch all these over to logistics as well, but I'm going to need beacons before we handle that. For now, the belt throughput is actually going to be a little bit better for us. And it's the same with copper, 2 blues and 4 reds. The 2 blues come and they split into the green circuit production because we need blue belts for each of those, and then the red belts split up into red circuits and also blue circuits over here. So let's take a look at our processing unit factory. I built this off camera. I was super tempted to actually do it on camera. We have a storehouse here for them as well. But the reason I ended up not is because for the most part, if you look at the core of it here, like the actual processing unit factory, it's mostly the exact same as the one we had already built, although we only built the one half of it. Except instead of sending all the materials in on the right and outputting out with the sulfuric acid in the middle, we happen to also build the green circuits on site. So the way this works is we have these standard green circuits set up with the same substations and everything to power them coming in. We have a red belt for copper because this isn't quite as far back as these ones are. This is this uses 2 per second. Yes, it uses 2 per second. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24 per second, and this happens to move 26.67 per second, so this is sufficient. We do need the red belt for iron, just barely, so we do have the red belts coming in on those as well, although we don't need the whole belts. And then we have another red belt here and another red belt for iron there. So it's the exact same as the other green circuit setup, except that instead of offloading onto the sides here, it offloads with a red inserter, direct inserting into the processing unit factories. And we did some belt underground tricks here to get these 2 belts running side by side. So the iron goes through and goes underground, and it comes out in the middles of each of these so they can pull their material out. And then so that I could get the red circuits into the processing unit factories, the red circuits belt goes underground where it needs to, and then we can get an inserter in there to load this up. And we load our processing units, and then they unload by a long inserter over top of the sulfuric acid into this belt, and we're good to go. Now the intriguing thing about blue circuits is that blue circuits create every 10 seconds. So if you had 10 factories, you'd be creating 1 per second. I happen to have, what, 16? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I make 1.6 blue circuits per second. Oh yeah. That's not that impressive, in all honesty. But it's just like every one of these needs all of the output of these green circuit factories. Like it's 1-to-1, factory to factory. It's crazy how many resources these processing units need, and it's always like being crazy. It's just when you have to make so many of them for such a long amount of time, it really adds up. So the only issue in this entire, well, the only 2 issues in this entire chain here now, instead of like the throughput on the lines anymore, that's all settled. This is perfect. The throughput is balanced now. The only issues that we have are, first of all, plastic production. I need 14 chemical plants making plastic, assuming they worked at crafting speed 1.0. The chemical plants work at speed 1.25, so they're actually a little bit quicker. But let's just be like straight up about this. I'm going to need 14 plants making that, and I have a red belt here already. In order to fully saturate this line and really hammer the plastic into these guys. So when red circuits are going at full blast, we actually don't quite make enough plastic right now. But I do make enough petroleum that I can expand that. The other thing is that, well, the outputs out of these warehouses are sufficient. This is nowhere near enough input going in. This is 2 red belts of copper going in, and then there's 2 red belts and 2 blue belts that I'm not accounting for. And this is 2 red belts of iron coming in because this is 4 yellow belts, and yellow and red are 2-to-1. And that's just this. So again, we're short a lot of material coming through. So smelting is going to need a serious expansion before we can actually run this at full blast. But this takes care of all of the circuit production here. And finally, we've built up some concrete. I started it a long time ago. I said we were going to commit to concrete in this factory, and we have indeed committed to concrete here. You can see my storage warehouses over here. I've got 2 of them. They are just warehouses, but they work as passive provider storage chests sort of thing. They are in logistics down here. Where are you at? Right there, storage warehouses. The cool thing about the storage warehouse specifically is, see how the passive provider warehouse doesn't have those 15 extra steel chests at the bottom, and the storage warehouse does? The storage warehouse actually has more space in it than other warehouses do. I think it actually says number of available slots on it, but it's hard to see because the interface is screwed up. I wish that mod that like minimizes or gets rid of the mini-map when you go over something was active now. But anyway, they have a lot and a lot and a lot of slots. They have more slots than other warehouses have. So if this iron warehouse was a storage warehouse, there'd be more than 80,000 in it, is what I'm trying to get at. Anyway, I've got these two storage warehouses here. They were to store all of our supplies. I've got some bots in. Oh yes, I've got logistics robots in there, right. I have 2.1 thousand Logibots in there, and in the roboports we have... Oh, this is a separated network now. Oh boy, that's not good actually. That's really not good. Do I have a roboport on me? I do have roboports on me. Yeah, you know what? We're gonna lay one down just so that we can merge. Oh god, yeah, look at that. Look at that. We just want these networks together so that they're supplying me and trashing my stuff and resupplying. Yep, that's what they're doing. We want these networks connected for now so that they actually can access the materials in them, but yeah. Anyway, so our total bot count is actually 1,673 construction robots and 100 logistics robots. I thought there was 150 Logibots. There might be another network that's not connected somewhere. Either that or I was carrying the bots and I put them down somewhere. Nope, I'm carrying them. That's where they are. There we go. Let's just drop 50 bots into there. So this time we need to start on a little bit of our logistics production. Eventually we're going to tear this stuff out to actually, you know, make our factory neat and all. But for the time being, we are going to work on a bit of logistics production. And in order to facilitate that, what we need to do first is upgrade these 3 warehouses here to logistics passive provider warehouses, which are... where are you? You're right here. I can actually make them right now. So let's just make 3 passive provider warehouses. And then let's take a peek at our roboport coverage. Oh yeah, we are way not in coverage there. So in order to facilitate that, we are going to just build some temporary roboports to get us going. And something up here. Yeah, that'll work. These are just temporary roboports to get me off and running. It's nothing crazy special or anything like that. Basically, I just want these all in the logistics network for the time being. We are going to be much better with our roboports in the future. And yeah, you're going to upgrade. There you go. Now you're a passive provider warehouse and a passive provider warehouse and a passive provider warehouse. So now we can use all the material in these warehouses in order to supply things on the logistics network. Oh yeah, the other thing in our bus, take a look at our power delivery system throughout. It's lighted substations. The reason I wanted to use these instead of just like a large pole that comes all the way back is because it creates a redundant line through the center where you see it actually breaks up here in a couple places. That's okay because it has backbone coming through this side, so you know there's more than one path coming through. Also, they're spaced nicely so that they get lit up. Like the light covers everything, so you can see this entire area. It's not shadow all over the place anymore like it always used to be. It's quite nice indeed. Anyway, let's start producing the stuff that I wanted to produce. Is this roboport? Yeah, this roboport is necessary because it's the one that actually bridges the 2 networks together. So let's just start producing where? Well, I would like to keep it, I'd like to start over here. I want to keep everything a little bit closer in. Okay, give me a second while I decide exactly what size I want these things to be. I'll be back. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to build here is our storage setup, which is going to be this good guy right here like this. And it's just going to be a bunch of storage warehouses with 4 spaces on either the left or the right. And the reason for those 4 spaces is because that's what you need in order to fit a roboport in. And roboports for these are literally just going to go straight down. Like, it's just going to be columns of roboports because you need lots and lots of roboports. So a lot of people, when they get roboports, will build them, and they'll build this nice, neat little grid of roboports that are like a perfect grid spaced perfectly apart where there. See? That's where the logistics networks connect to each other. One more tile and they don't. There and they do. And they'll build them perfectly spaced out and nice and even so the lines will be straight and there'll just be this nice grid of them and all that stuff. And then they'll find that they can't actually use logistics robots for hammering their factory's productivity. Like they'll say, oh, robots are cool and they're neat and all these cool things that they can do and stuff, but you still need belts to run your factory because robots just don't have the throughput. And that's just not true. Robots have more throughput than belts have. Robots are 1,000,000 times better than freaking belts. If you need high throughput stuff, you need to be using robots. Why doesn't it work for you? Well, it's because your roboports are so freaking spread out that they can never recharge. Have you seen a swarm of robots go out and do stuff? They're all going to arrive back at the same spot at the same time, and if this is the only roboport that's there, they're all going to sit there charging, and it's going to take 15 years for them all to recharge. No, what you need is hundreds upon hundreds and hundreds of roboports, and for that reason, the very first thing that we need to build here after getting our storage solution up and running is some production. And our very first thing that we're going to produce in the logistics style factory is going to be roboports, in fact. And let's shrink this guy down a little bit. And do we want roboports in between this? Yeah, actually, I think we do. Because I think this is going to be our make anything right here. We're just going to do a string right here that we're going to call the make anything. So I think in order to support the make anything, we are going to have a set of roboports beside it on this side as well. Of course, we are going to need to do some other power delivery system for this as well, but we'll get that sorted out when the time comes. For now, let's just, ooh, I've got some regular concrete. Let's use that for a bit, although we probably only have like one drop of it. Can you get bigger than that? You can. Holy crap. Yeah, we have almost none of it, but that's okay. Let's get these roboports up. Oh, look at the high def. High def, yes. Let's get these set up. So they are going to need iron gear wheels, advanced circuits, and steel plates. And guess what? We happen to have all of those in our system. So we're going to use a requester chest and a passive provider chest here. And what do you think? Are you? I personally like middle and bottom with the top as our power pole, but a lot of people prefer it like top and bottom or whatever for tiling purposes. You can never mirror them because they're two different kinds of chests either way. But this is how we're going to do this, and we will do a little bit of that. There we go. We're gonna copy your materials into the. Oh boy, that's yeah, that's a little much, bro. That's a little much, brah. You need 450. Yeah, no, we're gonna give you 100, and you're gonna get like 100 of these. I personally go big, like I go way bigger than you need to on these materials, and yeah. Although, you know what? Maybe we should make those. Can I do stack inserters? I can. So I'm wondering, because these need 45 steel, 45 gears, and 45 advanced circuits each. What I'm thinking is for these guys, maybe we should actually just make a second chest. Second chest to supply these guys. For now, what we're going to do is stack inserters, but I honestly think a second chest to supply them might be in order. Oh, they take a long time to craft. No, stack inserters should be fine. They should be sufficient. And these stack in lots of 5, so guess what? We are going to go with an entire row of them. Yes, I need lots and lots of roboports. Lots and lots of them. 2 factories making them will be enough, but we are going to need crap tons of roboports. And you see that this just ran. Like, this had no problem just running. And that's because these substations are here. But how are we going to get power to everything else down the line is my question. The substations will not be there, and this is set up for roboports. So maybe I do need to redesign a little bit so that I can get something like substations down. I'm gonna have to redesign when it comes time to put modules in, like not modules, beacons in anyway. So you know, whatever. We'll make the best of it. Okay, So let's continue with our make anything. We're going to need more of these guys. Let's just grab them right from here. Let's just grab a whole bunch of them right from here. I could have just requested them, but where's the fun in that? Okay, so when people do these kinds of logistics setups, they usually look to do them one of a couple ways. They either, like, let's say we want to build things like medium electric poles and large electric poles, big electric poles. They use the same materials, so they'll build one factory for each. I don't like doing that one factory for each thing and actually splitting it. I like if this module of 2 factories produces something. I treat them as a single module, basically. You know, if I space these a little bit more, I don't have to put power in the middle. I could actually space them slightly more, and I could put power in between them here the way we always have. No, let's go for density. Let's go for density, and we'll put power in the middle. I don't see any reason why we can't put power in the middle other than the fact that it's gonna like mix up some of our chests a little bit. So what we're going to do here is, sure, let's do medium electric poles and then large electric poles. And then we're going to want some substations. Let's get those going. And then we're going to want, you know, the actual things that we want here, which is medium lit electric poles, large lit electric poles, and lit substations. There we go. And then, now that that's taken care of, we're also going to need lights, aren't we? Yes, indeed. So let's do 2 factories here to produce us lights. Lights happen to require iron sticks, so let's get some factories for those. Iron sticks are only used for lights and rails and pickaxes and stuff like that, so I don't really care so much about them. We're just going to do 2 factories for iron sticks, and that should take care of that just fine. And I think that's all we're going to need in order to make all these things. So let's put down some more chests. And to that end, we're actually going to need to... Oh, what did I just break? I totally just broke something, and I'm not sure what. Blue, red, blue, blah, blah, blah. I don't know what I broke. Oh, well. It'll be fine. It's no big deal. It'll be fine. I need more chests is what I need. So that's going to be in logistics. Let's do like 20 of these guys and like 20 of these guys and call it a day. Shall we? I have all the circuits and everything I need on me, so they're going to craft up quickly. I can just do it in my pocket. It's not a big deal. We're going to put the input materials up here. And then we'll stick the output materials on the bottoms. And are those all in logistics range right now? No. See, none of that is in logistics range. I'm going to need the roboports built before I can actually use these for anything. I'm actually amazed. The only thing that is in logistics range is the stuff for the roboports here. Which is good, because I need these roboports right away. Like, they are key to my success, is the fact that I have the roboports. You know what we could do? No, we can't, because we need to put the red chest in. I was thinking I could put substations here, but no. I could fit a substation in here, but the reason that that won't work is because this is what I actually have to work with. I don't actually have the red chests installed yet. So let's drop our red chests in place. Like so. Now, what I have available to me is just, you know, a medium pole in the middle of everything. And this will technically power the whole shebang with no issues. But I'm not going to get power to the outsides using those. That's the problem. And I'm going to want to have roboports lining the sides. So I'm definitely going to want power there. So there are some challenges to work out with this. I might have to change the spacing a little bit to make this work a little bit better. An entire inventory full of roboports. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Let's lay down your ports like so, and we're going to get over here and start laying down your ports like so. And now I need to power all of this, otherwise it's for naught. And in order to power it, what options do I have? That doesn't work. No, I literally need to use substations to power this. So yes, I'll be back. I'm going to shift all this stuff over a couple tiles. Okay, so this is going to be our general setup here. We're just going to have a little bit of extra space for substations to connect all the way down. And again, flank us with roboports. We are going to need a little bit of power on this side, though, where I didn't actually place it already. And to do that, let's just do something like this for now. It's not elegant. I will figure out something better and a little more OCD friendly in the near future. I do need to rip these out, and I do want to start that right away. Honestly, logistics bots will be better at than construction bots. Okay, so if you use the deconstruction planner and you can deconstruct this, then construction robots will move in and do that job. If you make this an active provider, though, then logistics robots will do the job instead. All right, so let's get some of these things balanced. Let's set you there. We're gonna set you to, like, honestly, 1 stack. Honestly, we should use logistics network conditions on the inserters for you instead, because yeah, there's no reason you even need a full stack. You guys, we are going to set to like 4 stacks though, because these are the ones that we're actually going to end up using. So let's set that for those. This can be set to 1 stack. I don't see why not. And you can be set to like, yeah, sure, 4 stacks. 4 stacks of lights, that works for me. And let's set all of our materials. You happen to need copper and steel. And you are also going to need copper and steel. I'm okay with 100 of each of those. That's perfectly fine by me. You need copper, steel, but you also need advanced circuits. I'm not going to give you 200 advanced circuits. That's for damn sure. So let's give you a little bit less than that. We'll go with 100. And then you're going to need lights and medium poles. So let's just give you, you know, everything in terms of medium poles. And yeah, I'm fine stocking you with 50 lights as well, because these produce so fast, and I've got 2 factories on each of these that we are going to need them pretty quickly. So you get that, and then you get your lights. Very good. And then this needs substations and lights. So let's do substation, and let's do light. And then you are just going to need iron. That's all you require. And I'm fine with 1 stack for now, because the factory that makes iron is so close to us. Like the warehouse, rather, off the smelter that makes iron is so close to us that I'm fine with just 1 stack of it here, even though you do produce very quickly. And you need circuits, sticks, and plates. That's no problem. Let's do circuits. You know, 200 is fine for me right now. You probably don't need anywhere near that much. But circuits are very far away. Right now they're here, but they're actually up here once we finish off this warehouse. Okay, good. So that is now off and running. Our first little set of make anythings is producing. And that's how much easier it is. No belts coming in, no any crazy nonsense bullshit stuff. Just that. And once we get some lights produced, we'll start being able to make some of these lit electric poles. Okay, so what we're going to need to do now is basically rebuild our make anything and then start working on other things. So what do I mean by other things that we're going to do logistics style? Solar panels. Note that the regular solar panel creates in 10 seconds. The advanced solar panel creates in 10 seconds and needs 10 solar panels. Therefore, I need 10 solar panels for every 1 advanced solar panel. That's a lot of solar panels. And then the elite solar panel needs 10 advanced solar panels. So I would need 100 of these. And like it's crazy sauce is what it is. I'm honestly thinking that we are going to make like 10 factories making solar panels and 1 factory making advanced solar panels, but I can't expand that any further. Like that would destroy my electronic circuits. That's 15 for every 1 of them. That's 1.5 seconds for every factory. And then this one needs that as well. Like, oh my goodness, that'd just be insane how many circuits we'd go through. And steel. Like, it's not cheap on steel or copper either. So that's a big deal. But we're going to need solar panel production. We're going to need accumulator production. We're going to need both of those up and running like hardcore parkour very soon. We're going to need repair packs, but I'll make that in the make anything, things like lasers. And then things that we need for science. Things that we need for science are not just going to be here on the make anything. We're going to use the same setup for them, but they're going to be in their own banks so that I can control the density of those particular materials, so that I can more easily control how many science packs of whatever types we are going to use. But I think now that we have access to some more robo ports, we should start laying some of these guys down, right? There we go. And now that we've got these roboports laying down, that means... Oh, I have no inventory, though. You know what I could do? If I want to be really cheeky about it. What I could do is... just insert, like I can request, I can use a chest to request logistics robots and then just insert them into roboports. If I wanted to be very, very cheeky about it, I could do something like that. Alternatively, what I could do is just clear all of my logistics slots so that I'm not stocking any of these materials, and to go ahead and dump a whole bunch of this stuff away. Like all of this and all of these extra splitters and extra all of the stuff that I don't really need to be carrying right now. I don't need construction bots on me. And then we could just take a couple loads of these guys and just dump them directly into roboports like this. Wow, we're still going. Man, we're still going. Holy crap. Yeah, no, I had a lot of logistics bots on me, apparently. Also, oh, there was only one little mini stack of them left. That's nice. Let's just dump them in there. Okay, so now we have 2,275 logistics bots in the network. Oh, you know what the next big thing that we're going to need to worry about then after we start this up? It's going to be power, because this is going to devour power very hard once these bots all start working. So, now that we got the bots going though, what I can do is get myself, yes, an active provider warehouse. Because it should place right over top of this store. Oh, it might not. I might not be able to place an active provider warehouse over the storage warehouse. Because again, storage warehouses hold more in them. I don't have any passive provider warehouses on me, so I can't check with that. It is a direct replacement. I don't know how that's possible because storage warehouses have a larger inventory. But we're going to make this active provider, so now the logistics bots that we just placed in the system are going to move the materials out of them, and logistics bots can carry more than one thing at a time. Oh, they're moving it down to this warehouse though. No! Damn it. Don't move it to that warehouse, move it to these ones. I should have realized that because this one was built earlier. So they're going to clean this out, but unfortunately they're going to move it to a warehouse that I don't want them to move it to. So we need to active provider that one up now real quick as well. And you know, this is a never-ending job apparently. Done. Okay. So now they're dispersing. They're like, "Hey, shit. No, the place, our target isn't a storage thing anymore. We need to go somewhere else." And they're going to start loading it all up into these guys, which is what we want. So this is our storage yard over here. It's just 10 storage warehouses. So I'm going to empty these out so that I can start building my factory in here. I'm going to need to clear these roboports and empty out all this nonsense and start building back our banks of actual logistics factory production nonsense stuff. This is going to take a while. It is cleaning out. And see, logistics bots, not only do I have more logistics bots, but they can move more than one thing at once because we have logistics robot capacity. We actually have worker cargo size 2. So they can carry 3 things at once, whereas construction bots will only ever carry 1. If you use the deconstruction planner to deconstruct this, all of your construction bots will come out and they will pick up all the materials out of this and they'll try and haul it back to storage. But the construction bots only carry 1 at once, whereas these logistics bots can carry 3. And not to mention I have a crap ton more logistics bots, so why not use them, right? I think it makes sense. And with this many bots running, oh yes, we were at like 40 something megawatts, 30 to 40. Now we're up into like the 90s with the lights running and everything as well. It's actually interesting. Hidden small lamp. Okay, that's the entity that they use. I was like, what entity do our electric poles use to call themselves lamps? But it's these hidden small lamps. That's fine. Train is allowed to take longer. That just means that they don't need... I don't need the materials. That means that I have a train sitting in the station, still waiting to unload. Yeah, iron train, because this is full. This is basically just an extra buffer. Oh, right. I can't actually look in these cars directly because I'm in my camera mode. But this is just like a buffer, basically. This is an extra warehouse almost having the train here, because this is full. And that just means that there is a train... Oh, this is the one that's been in the station for that long. That means the other train is still on... Yeah, here. It's on its way in, and it's just going to hold itself in the stacker. So if we watch it, zoom, it'll move into the stacker, and it'll hold right here. Yep, and then once this one's done, it'll get out. New one will come in. All will be well. Fan-freaking-tastic. I do love some of the nice quality of life changes, like that whole radar zoom-in bullshit stuff that you can do now. It's kind of cool. I have a whole bunch of science packs in here. We could get science going again. Currently, I don't even have science labs laid down, because, again, we pulled out everything in the factory. Some of the bots are coming over here to charge. Why? Are there really not enough roboports over there to charge right now? I guess. Well, we can sort of remedy that. This is going to take a lot of power, but we can sort of remedy this a little bit by just placing a whole bunch of roboports down here. That should help the situation, but that is also going to... Oh my goodness, yeah, look at that. Look at how dramatically that increased power draw on the base. Well, these roboports are charging. Because when you drop them, they aren't charged. They have to fill up with their juice. Once they're all charged up, I don't think the robots will charge them fast enough to hit full production, but yeah, see. These are finishing. They're starting to pull a little less power, and now we're dropping below threshold again, so we're good. And that's going to get the robots working a little bit faster. We can see a steady stream of them now, charged up and good to go. You can see why I did a lot of this off camera so far, because there's a lot of just, you know, waiting for stuff to happen. I mean, I can move stuff manually here as well, but that's kind of ugh. But there's a lot of like clearing out space and ripping stuff up and rebuilding stuff that you already had. Like, I didn't rebuild much of this. I pulled out the processing units and I rebuilt that, but these guys, I never rebuilt them. I just rebuilt a little bit of the reds, and I changed the belts on some of these things and shifted this over a little bit, but it wasn't like super complicated rebuilds. They use the exact same basic designs that they used before. This section is going to be a complete rebuild, and you can see all the just kind of not so thrilling stuff involved in a rebuild of the factory. And this is only our mid-game rebuild, so we are officially entering mid-game. This is logistics time. We are not entering beacon or module time. What we're working towards now is actually tooling our factory up so that we can create modules at a decent enough rate and beacons at a decent enough rate that we can get a better smelter, and then once we have the better smelter, that will launch us into late game when we retool the factory again for beacon production of everything. It's going to be a little while, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And I think that's going to be it for this episode. I'm going to continue doing a little bit of the monotonous stuff off camera, and then we'll probably come back when it's time to start module production. Modules and beacons and all that good stuff. I don't know. Maybe we'll come back before then. But I will see you soon. Thanks for tuning in.